Welcome everybody and thank you for coming to this symposium. I'm going to kick it off today and present the landscape of identity model, which has been developed by myself, Naomi de Ruiter, Saskia Kunne and Harke Bosma. After several years of studying identity, I still wonder what it truly is. And this is not because of a lack of research on the topic. Rather, there is quite a lot of research. So why do we still not have a clear concept of identity? Probably because research traditions differ in the aspects of identity that they tend to study. There is the quantitative tradition, where researchers typically study the strength of commitment and the amount of exploration. The qualitative tradition, where researchers study the content of commitments and identity narratives. There are researchers who study identity as a macro-level construct, as something that changes slowly over the years, while others study identity as a micro-level construct, as something that develops from week to week, day to day, or even second to second. And these research lines each provide a piece of the puzzle, but they tend to operate in isolation, and the qualitative and micro-level approaches are typically outnumbered. With this symposium, we want to call attention to these sometimes forgotten aspects of identity. With this talk specifically, I want to present a model that integrates these different research lines in one model of identity, using principles of complex dynamic systems theory. We call it the landscape of identity model. Now the time for presenting is short, so I prepared a little demonstration. So imagine that the sand surface that you see over here is the identity landscape of Jane, an adolescent making a career choice. It contains all possible contents that her identity may develop. Valleys represent commitments. For example, over here is a tentative commitment to being a lawyer. Let's say that this ball represents what Jane experiences at any given moment. She explores options that she may want to commit to by moving over the landscape and has an experience everywhere she goes. When she doesn't want to commit to an option, she quickly moves on. But if she does like an option, she digs a little hole. For example, forms a new commitment to becoming a psychologist. She is drawn to these ideas, just like this little ball wants to roll into these valleys. But the valleys are not terribly deep, the commitments are not that strong, and so she can easily exit them and look for other options. As she explores potential professions, she realizes she actually likes many things, and that all these things have something in common. That is, she really likes to help people. This realization is a more abstract idea of what she likes and where she wants to go, that integrates many elements into one coherent whole, which is represented by this broad valley here. While in this valley, she looks at the world through this lens and keeps on seeing professions that are about helping people. Once she exits this valley, thus, for a moment let's go of this idea, she easily rolls back into it because the valley is broad and thus encompasses a large variety of experiences that are in line with it. This example touches on many features of the identity landscape that are worth discussing. For now, let us focus on the width and the depth of a valley. Deep valleys, such as this one and this one, represent strong commitments. Wide valleys, such as this one and this one, represent commitments that are rich in qualitative content, that is, commitments with more elements that are integrated in one coherent whole. Such wide commitment valleys fit with a wide variety of experiences. We view experiences as the main drive of identity development. One important example of this is that new commitment valleys emerge or become broader because of varied, novel experiences that have self-relevance. But exploration also plays a role as a catalyst. For example, broad exploration is the active seeking of novel, self-relevant information, and this behavior is likely to generate many varied and novel experiences, which in turn impact the landscape of identity. That being said, It is in principle also very much possible to have such identity shaping experiences without any exploration preceding it. This can happen, for example, because the individual's immediate environment is rich in varied content. So by now you may be thinking, well, it's nice that you went all creative with landscapes and sandboxes, but why exactly do we need such a model? What does it bring us? Well, it solves the issue of isolated research traditions as it incorporates qualitative and quantitative aspects of identity as different features of one structure. And it demonstrates how macro-level identity structures can be grounded in everyday life, micro-level experiences and explorations. This has some interesting implications, such as how we view identity statuses. Marcia describes 4 identity statuses, composed of 2 processes, commitment and exploration. We propose that if exploration was successful, then it should have generated meaningful experiences, which in turn left traces in the quality of the commitment. This means that hypothetically, we do not need any knowledge of past exploration to still be able to recognize different identity statuses. Following this line of reasoning, we went ahead and shaped the identity landscapes that would be typical for each of the identity statuses. We replaced exploration as a defining feature of identity with the level of integration of the commitment, thus the width of the values. For example, a foreclosed landscape is characterized by strong commitments that have a low level of integration. That is, they do not contain many elements. They are rather simple, while the commitment values in the achieved landscape are much more elaborate. They have a higher level of integration. You may think at this point, okay, so you just replaced exploration with another variable, integration. How is this a contribution? Well, it is important to note that exploration and integration are not the same. The level of integration is a structural property of a commitment that an individual currently has. And exploration is a searching behavior, which may help to produce this structure, but it doesn't have to. Exploration may also fail. For example, exploration may be unsuccessful if someone just doesn't find anything interesting, or if the individual was exploring by ruminating, which doesn't get them any new experiences and doesn't produce any richness to their commitment. This means that hypothetically, we should be able to find individuals who have explored a lot in the past, but still ended up with a diffuse or foreclosed identity landscape. And our model also predicts that individuals can develop a moratorium or achieved landscape without having explored at all. This is because we view experiences as the main driving force of identity development, and thus landscapes can be shaped independent of exploration. That being said, such individuals would not be so common, as we do view exploration as an important catalyst of experiences. Our model also predicts that the different types of landscapes may matter for how major life experiences are dealt with. Individuals with a foreclosed landscape have narrow commitment values. This means that their identity fits with only a few types of experiences. Because of this, they will have more trouble to absorb or make sense of major life experiences that are novel. This is much easier for achieved individuals, because their broad commitment values allow them to make sense of a large variety of experiences. So to sum up, the landscape of identity is a versatile model that helps us to think about identity in both quantitative and qualitative dimensions. And it builds a bridge between micro-level experiences and macro-level structures. And this has provided us with a new view on identity status theory and some interesting new predictions. Of course, we want to test some of our predictions, and to do that we need to develop a measurement instrument, particularly one that is able to measure the level of identity integration. So if you have any suggestions for such a measure, that would be most helpful. So thank you so much for your attention. If you want to read further on the model, I can recommend these two papers. The top one was just published or accepted in Identity and will be available soon and contains most of the details that I just discussed. If you have any further questions, we can discuss them later on, or you can contact me. And if you have any ideas for collaboration, I'm always open to that. So thanks, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye bye.